Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sharing this inspiring story. And thank you for contributing to the food and security. And thank you for also developing Zimbabwe, because I'm thinking that your dream is big, right? So if you continue doing that, you're actually going to be helping to develop Zimbabwe. So can I please see if Yananiso is back on the platform? Can I please be assisted if Yananiso is back on the platform so that we get to her, because the story was very, very, very amazing too.
Hi, Rifilwe. I'm back on the platform.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, what question were you answering? Because I know I have a lot of questions. Which one were you answering? Were you answering the one about where you were doing the project? Because I think you were done with um you telling us about the motivation and the inspiration.
Yes, I think that's the next question. So currently, my plot is
Mm.
located here in Harare in Hatfield. I'm looking forward to expanding this
Okay. So how
coming
many
summer season.
okay, so how many people are you doing it with? How many people are you doing the project with?
We are four in total. My grandparents help me, and there's also someone who lives close by who helps me run the plot.
Your grandparents must be really good farmers, because how the people of the past generation were very good farmers. I'm sure that they're actually the ones who were helping you go through with it a lot. Well, how many people have benefited from
Yes.
your project? All those that your project has served.
Is more inorganic chemicals and also lower yield to adopting the conservative farming method, which has which requires less inputs and is a greater yield.
Okay, okay, okay. So you are already in business, right? You are a teenager in agribusiness, right? So what would you encourage a young teenager out there who's actually thinking of maybe following in your footsteps or doing something close to that? What would you encourage them? What would you say to them?
So I'll tell the person that start and start small. A lot of people, especially teenagers, we think that farming is a thing of the past. We think that farming requires a lot of labor, but we need to start small because I believe with farming, every season you're learning something new. You cannot get to a point where you're saying, okay, I've achieved the most I can and things are just going. Because if you have a greater yield this year, next year you want to either improve or to maintain. So you can start even with half of the Pumvudza plot, and then you get to learn of how you can manage the armyworm, how you can manage leaching, and the next farming season you get to a bigger plot. Start with what's there. Sometimes we want to look for a lot of resources, and then at the end of the day, because we don't have enough, we're like, okay, so I can't do this. But start with what you have there and then.
Okay, okay, this is very inspiring. I've heard you saying Kumbuza, Kumbuza, Kumbuza. I don't know Shona, so could you please explain to me and other people who are connected here who are not Shona speaking what it means?
Pumvudza, it came from the concept of we use mulch a lot in Pumvudza. You know, when it's the fall season and then their leaves, they cover the ground. So that whole aspect of the leaves covering the ground, that's what we call Pumvudza. And in Pumvudza, the ground should not be bare. So right now we are out of the May season, right? And some plots have nothing. So instead of leaving your ground exposed, you have to cover it with mulch. And that's what Pumvudza is. In Debele, it's in Twasa.
Okay. I probably need to work on my Ndebele as well, apparently. Apparently. Okay. So there's also another question from the people in the chat box. They are asking how you are injecting funds into your project.
So for a start, we got what is called the Pumvudza starter pack, which caters for one plot, which is a 28 by 52 meter plot. And So what you really need is your seeds, your hybrid seeds. That's what best advised. Then you need your lime to compensate, especially if you had been using the current farming method. You need a bit of lime so to reduce the acidity of your soil, and you need your mulch. Mulch really helps a lot to help the soil grow. Sorry, to help the soil regain the nutrients, and you just need a little bit of fertilizer to compensate for the lack of mulch, because I know a lot of people, they burn at their mulch when it's out of season. So for a start, you might need a little bit of fertilizer just to compensate for the lack of mulch. But as you go on, you realize your soil has regained its fertility and you've got enough mulch. You might really opt for uh, having a thermal compost and not fertilizers, because a thermal compost is really good. It helps you achieve the same yield or even better.
Okay, so and where can one get the starter pack?
You have to contact Foundations of Farming. So you just look up on the internet foundationsoffarming.org. Then you find the details.
Okay, I'm sure people are hearing that. So there's also another question from Gladman. He says, "How has it been for you trying to grow in how has it been for you trying to go big in terms of agriculture without chemicals when it's very difficult to do so using pumbuza? Mean which using pumbuza means which are not that effective in terms of pests. Examples of pests would be
So for
worm.
oh okay. So the it's really been hectic. I won't lie, because with maize it's wind pollinated. So in as much as I might try to control pests and diseases in my plot, if my surrounding plots have been affected, chances are my plot will be affected. So and currently, the most effective method to control pests, especially the fall armyworm, which in Shona is called rukonye, is to use chemicals, like the uh, chemicals, not the natural pesticides. But you can opt for, if your maize is still small, you can opt for sand. You just put sand at the heart of each maize stalk, and then it stops the worm from growing. So those are some of the methods we use.
Okay, people are actually so blown away that they're wondering how old you are. Do you mind telling them that, or you just want me to tell them that you're a teenager?
I'm 18.
Okay, okay. Is there like maybe a website or a page where people can see your pictures, because I see other people are want to see the pictures of your project.
So I did not upload anything on the internet yet. But if they would want to see what a sample looks like, you can look up on the Higher Life Foundation page. There are a lot of pictures of the pilot Pumvuza plots. You can also check out on Foundations of Farming and see even the type of holes that we dig, because in fact, in Pumvuza we say it's farming God's way, and God is order. So everything we do has order. The in spacing between the two holes, between the two rows, everything just has to be exact. And you see how just good it is. So it's even easier for you to harvest, because your crops are in a certain order. We maintain lines a lot.
Okay, thank you. One last question. There's a question coming from the chat box. It says, "How it says does Fumbuza also like is it also suitable for large areas that span for land that is over 2 hectares?"
Yes, you can use it for any type, for any size that you have. And right now they've introduced shellers. So because sometimes people are like, Pumvuza is labor intensive. Yes, it is labor intensive if you prepare late, because you have to do things during a certain period. So if you start late, that means you're going to have to race against time to make sure that by the planting time you are done. But any size that you have of your land, you can still use the Pumvuza method, because we're saying we want to conserve the land that we have. So we cannot say that we have a land that's too big to be conserved, so to say. Actually, the bigger the better, because we
Oh,
have to
thank you very much.
conserve the larger distance.
Oh, thank you very much, Yananiso. So, do you mind maybe like dropping your contact info, because I'm sure people want to talk to you. Maybe like you can just drop your email and maybe answer the question on what groups feed Pumbuza.
My email is yananisom06@gmail.com. Everything is in small letters. yananisom06@gmail.com. I'll also put it in the chat box. Then what was the question you asked? I didn't get you clearly.
They were asking which crops are suitable.
Which crops are suitable for Pumvuza? Is that the
Mm-hmm.
question? So we have maize, you can have groundnuts,
Yes,
roundnuts,
that is the question.
you can have potatoes, Irish potatoes and sweet potatoes. Basically any plant that you want. Because if it's crops like groundnuts, where you don't necessarily need a deep hole, we use farrows. So you can use it for any plant that you want to grow.
Okay, thank you very much, Yananiso. You are so inspiring, literally. Like, I would have not thought it like in any day at some point that an 18-year-old would be so much vested in agriculture. And can you please also like maybe share a sneak peek into your financials? Like, how much are you making, or how much have you made so far?
So right now, since people still have maize, a good farmer does not sell their maize plant right now. But we know that once people are looking for other seeds um, and also buying to compensate for their consumption, that's when you start selling. So right now, I'm more of analyzing how the stocks are, like what the price is, the market price. Then I can also see how much I can sell it for.
Okay, I'm pretty sure you're going to be making a lot of money. I'm pretty sure that you're going to be
Hopefully.
making a lot of money. Were you saying something, Yana?
Or I said, hopefully, I'll do make a lot of money.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much. You were very inspiring. I would not have thought that a teenager could be so much vested in agriculture. I mean, teenagers nowadays, all they ever want to do is to look at their phones and TikTok and, just chat, lazy around their Netflixes. But you are actually going out there and living all these things that people see as leisure, but yet they still need money. You are going out there to making money for yourself. That is very good. I applaud you for that and I respect you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
So
Rifelu, for
then
having me. And I'm hoping more farmers come out from this group.
I'm definitely sure that more farmers are going to come. I'm actually still considering being a farmer myself.